Latest there. Let's start with David Montgomery.
Yeah, Laura, David Montgomery has a knee injury that's going to require surgery, and he will, unfortunately for the Lions, it sounds like, miss the rest of the season. That'll necessitate a larger role for their other star running back, Jahmyr Gibbs. But Montgomery, obviously a big part of what they do, that 1-2 punch at running back. They may look outside the organization, see if they can add someone, but obviously Montgomery has been an engine for them and will be difficult to replace. He plays offense, but they have incredible injury issues on defense. Aleem McNeil, defense organization, see if they can add someone, but obviously Montgomery has been an engine for them and will be difficult to replace. He plays offense, but they have incredible injury issues on defense. Aleem McNeil, defensive tackle, he has a torn ACL. He was placed on injured reserve today. He's out for the season. Cornerback Carlton Davis, he has a broken jaw. He's going to need surgery. They put him on IR today as well, which means he has to miss at least 4 games. At this point in the season, what's that mean? If they get a first-round bye, that means the soonest Davis could come back is the NFC Championship game. So time running out on the Lions and their injured defense. However, Aiden Hutchinson, who broke his leg in the game against the Cowboys earlier this season, is working through his rehab, still has hope that he can return if the team reaches the Super Bowl. So maybe that's a little bit of a carrot for the Lions to get to the Super Bowl. Maybe they get their top edge rusher back if they're able to get there to New Orleans. But a lot of injury issues, especially on the defensive side of the ball, for Detroit to navigate in the meantime.
Yeah, Graz, maybe just a little glimmer of hope there with Hutchinson. But that's not all from Detroit today. Dan Campbell was on local Detroit radio this morning. Take a listen.
You know, what happens is you get used to eating filet, and I'm talking to all of us, and well, everything's good, life's good, you know, but you forgot what it was like when you had nothing and you ate your molded bread, you know, and it was just fine, and it gave you everything you needed.
Molded bread,
just fine.
It's happened to all of us. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was just fine. Like I'm one of those people that inspects the bread too. I'm like looking, making sure there's.
I also don't eat bread.
Well, I like bread. Hockey eats a little bit of bread, right?
I eat everything, man. Bread,
Roz, you eat bread?
McDonald's, you put it in front of me, I'll eat it.
Same. I'm going to take that as a yes from Graz. All right,
Yeah, what a response by Graz.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know I was being asked. Yes, of course.
Good.
I eat food like a regular person.
Graz,
Yes.
exactly. We're not going to group you in with Dan over here, even though you are a Dan. All right, the Lions, Vikings, and Eagles all sit at 12-2 with 3 games remaining, and ESPN Analytics gives Detroit the best chance of securing the top seed still with all these injuries. The Vikings have the lowest chance of the 3 due to their remaining schedule and being tied. That schedule being tied, for the hardest in the NFL. That includes a Week 18 meeting with the Lions. The Eagles finish off the season with 3 division games, including 2 at home versus the Cowboys and the Giants. So certainly the division matters here, right? But the Lions are pretty banged up, Graz, as you just told us. Philly also dealing with some injuries. What's the latest on quarterback Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts has a broken ring finger on his left hand. This is not a new injury. He had it prior to the game Sunday and played with it. He wears a glove on the hand. He has it padded and taped up and said after the game that he was just going to deal with it. He said if it's shattered, it's shattered. It is what it is. So that's Jalen Hurts' attitude. He doesn't throw with that hand, so that's a good thing. But he had a big game on Sunday with it and doesn't seem to be bothering him going forward. Something to watch, I guess, in case it got worse. But again, he said if it's shattered, he could still be okay, which sounds crazy, but
tough cookie.
Football.
Yeah, at least it's not his throwing hand, to your point. Let's stick with Philly for a minute, Hawk. Yeah. What did you think about their win against Pittsburgh after all that drama last week with Jalen and A.J. Brown?
Yeah, it was perfectly timed against the perfect opponent for A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts to kind of cleanse themselves. They're going against the Pittsburgh defense, which we talked about last week, was going to play a lot of man-to-man. But A.J. Brown is the best receiver in the NFL when it comes to man-to-man.
No lies told.
You're going to see these all slants. 50 yards, 4 catches. Right here, Joey Porter kind of stabs him, catches him off guard. Here, you're going to see a delay. He's going to wait for this DB, Dante Jackson, get eyes in the backfield and use the pace to score a 5-yard touchdown. Next here, Jackson's going to try to put hands on A.J. Brown, who's typically physical. You're going to see him slip, break a tackle, turn it into a 17-yard gain. Now you're back against Joey Porter again, and now he's ready for the physical nature of Joey Porter, and he still creates that level of separation for a 21-yard catch. Whenever you start playing receiver, you learn 2 routes. You learn a go route, and you learn a slant. You cannot be a true number 1 unless you can line up in man-to-man and win close to consistently on both of those routes. A.J. Brown does that better than any wideout in the NFL.
It's impressive to watch. Dan, this NFC 1 seed is very much up for grabs right now. Who needs home field advantage more between Philly and Minnesota if you had to pick the two?
Yeah, I mean, because of the Lions right now with their decimation, I would still say them because they need the health. But if I was picking between those two teams, I'd say Minnesota. If I was Minnesota, I would want to force offenses to come into our building and deal with our defense and noise. The difference in these two defenses, both are very, very, very good in Philadelphia and Minnesota. Philadelphia is not nearly as, from the offense's perspective, what are you doing? I have no clue what you're doing. So if I get to the line of scrimmage and I'm on the road in Minnesota and I'm dealing with the skull chant and the noise and Brian Flores has got 9 people up in the line of scrimmage, I have no idea what I'm looking at. What's it going to be? How do I communicate? Philadelphia is tremendous. But I think the forcing teams to communicate is an advantage for Minnesota.
Yeah, you see the chance to win there. I don't know if we could throw that back up, but they have a really difficult schedule down the stretch. One of those games
Minnesota?
against the Packers.
Yeah, no,
and
their
they're
final
not
3 games are tough.
Right, and they're only favored to win in 2 of those. There it is right there, Hawk. I mean, as you look at that, how do you factor in all that? I mean, that Lions one, I'm not sure if our analytics factors in injuries because you do wonder about that one. You think they'd be favored.
That's what I actually feel good about the Minnesota Vikings. It's going to be tough, but they're going to face probably a backup in the Seahawks. The Packers game will be the deciding factor for me, but that Packers offense is now going to go against Flores again. And then to your point about the Lions and injuries, I like them to come away as the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Fascinating to see how that race ends up shaking out. And the number 1 seed and that home field advantage is huge.
Here's how to maximize your money's potential. Robinhood Gold offers a match on eligible contributions into your IRA. Robinhood